This morning I'm going for a short ride up from my local entry point. I've been waiting around to ride this area because they've been pulling logs out of here forever, and the road was kind of messed up. I mean, I could have come up this way. Someone's driven up here since yesterday, but I just didn't want to deal with the ruts and the ice, and the snowpack's been pretty pitiful down here. Like you can see, the bare under the trees. It will ramp up. I'm out here solo unless my neighbor shows up. He said he might be able to, but he needed to do some shakedown on his bike, so I told him where I'd be, and we'll see if he shows up here. Oh, it looks like some, yep, it feels like some bare dirt underneath, gravel. And I came up here yesterday to scout it with my fat bike, my bicycle, and it looked like no one had driven it, but then since yesterday someone drove it, so I thought it was going to be some hard packed snow from there's a couple snowmobile tracks, but that's alright. I need to detune this ski a little bit. It's a little too aggressive. Quiver ski. It's kind of, aha! I see what was happening. Some local woodcutters. I don't think this snowfall is going to amount to much. Maybe 3 or 4 inches up here. That's been the story of this winter. Nothing major. Alright, looks like I could still drive to here. Well, they left one tree. Gnarly little tamarack that looks like it lost its top a while ago. I gotta get out of here. There's a bunch of hazards. This might be an interesting zone to play around in if they have more snow cover. Well, I think I was making the right call by not coming up here yet this year. Snowpack, I mean, look at, none of these fences are covered. Snowpack is pitiful. Usually I'd climb up that hill right there, but it's just like nothing on there. And the road's bumpy. Normally there'd be enough snow sitting on the ground that these little refreshes we get make it great, but all this stuff right here is virtually unrideable. This is a great year for the wheelers and the woodcutters. They're still up here pulling stuff out. It's been a great year for riding my fat bike for sure. The snow's deep, can't pedal through anything, but this little off and on stuff. Usually my strategy is just to take whatever nature's giving. As far as the snow's low, I'm out on my fat bike, riding my mountain bike. I was even out riding my road bike the other day. And then once the snow comes in, be ready with the skis. I'm getting some good backcountry skiing in. But the snowpack is not. Like, look at that right under here. It's our elevation here. We're about 4,000 something. Normally this would be well covered. Pretty pitiful. Can I even get over this gate? Looks like wheelers have driven over it. I think there was more snow up here in early December when I came up here. Now it's March. Usually we have our deepest snowpack of the year right now. And it's trying, but I don't think this is going to accumulate much, but the snowpack is just not here this year. Snowbike, it's alright getting around on this lower snowpack though. No fun on the sleds because we haven't had any deep days at all. Like pretty much nothing for super deep days. See if I can scoot up through here. Everything just looks bigger than normal. More hazards. Yeah, I can see dirt underneath these trees. These down trees are creating an extra hazard. Obstacles I'm not used to in here. I think it's pretty much a write-off for the fun I was going to have in here this year, because it's likely not going to build up enough to give a snowpack that I can even have any fun in here. Okay, normally I just busted through there, but I could see this massive down tree on the ground that could have caused problems. My main concern is like dumping it upside down in one of these tree wells. But I could get down to bare earth without even digging anything, so give myself some traction. Just don't want to ever get pinned under the bike. So I think I can pull this line right here. Getting good traction, so trust me, that's steeper than it looks. Looks like nothing but classic GoPro. Okay, let's go for it. Yeah, it's good for traction for sure. Oh yeah, just like that, I'm up here in it. Snow feels a little better up here. still a lot of obstacles showing through. Okay, do I want to commit to that slope? I kind of think I should come through higher. Yes, I'm getting some nice traction. I think I could. I'm not sure here. So I'm out on my own. That's a little bit steep of a slope. Don't know if I want to be out there by myself. Good and safe, no problem. I was above the danger area. Alright, that's quick, nice shortcut. And now I'm kind of up in some real snowpack. Feels much better right here. Still lower than it should be, but yeah, some of these alders really shouldn't be a factor right now. A lot of fun things to play on though. I'm not too far from the warming cabin. Might go over there, see what's going down. Doubt anyone is there today. Got a tree with me. Okay, I think I can cut over. So I need to check my Air Pro. I changed out the lines on it because it was leaking. So it seemed to be holding before for several days there, but it doesn't quite feel 100%, so I'm gonna check that. Ah, there's the, I was close to the trail. All right, we got civilization. There's the top of the cabin. There's the pond. All right. I think that's a pond. I never really checked it out in the summer. Doesn't look like much evidence of any grooming going on here. No fresh tracks. Looks like I got the cabin all to myself. Might just pull my bike in. This is pretty pitiful. Usually we should be climbing down into this. And that thing should be well covered. Is that locked? No, they just have that lock on it, but... Or is it locked? Okay, we're good. I was gonna say, that's a bit early. Still got a candle going. Thought it smelled nice in here. Alright, no time to start a fire today. Just wanted to check it out. It's a nice little rest, but I need to turn and start heading back. Wasn't out for a big day today. I got some stuff this afternoon, some appointments, and then I actually might be snow biking the next 2 days. I actually find it quite amazing how quickly I got up here from home. Snow bikes, you can just hightail it through the woods right there, and beeline right up to this cabin. It must have been adventuresome because I actually had my avalanche handle out. I usually keep that thing stowed away. So I have some advanced training in avalanche, and it makes me feel a lot more confident when I'm out, because I pretty much know exactly what's dangerous, what's not dangerous, how to avoid it, how to limit risk. So a lot of the time I just have my avalanche handle in just so I don't accidentally deploy it. But when I know there's a spot, something could happen. I get it out. When I'm out here solo, that's my only hope right there, is having a bag. But really when I'm solo, I don't normally expose myself to anything that's a problem. I mean, potentially a slope like this could remote trigger and come down on me, but right now there's really not a lot of snow up there. I mean, it could rip down to the ground and come down, but everything is so chopped up, I'm not going to remote trigger something off of a slope like that. But that'd be one concern, even if I'm not on the bus, so to speak, on the avalanche slab myself. Something could remote trigger off of a road cut or come down a mountain like this, pile drive onto me. But that's pretty unlikely thing to happen. But with Snowbike, you can hop off into these drainages and stuff, and some of them can look pretty innocuous, but people don't realize the terrain trap there. Just a little bit of snow could pile drive you down into the bottom of a creek bed, and you could be under easily like 6 foot of snow. And it takes a long time for someone to dig through 6 feet of snow down to a creek and unplug you out of there. So that should be a concern for the snow bikers, knowing those terrain traps. It's not a huge, you don't need a huge mountain to kill you. It's sometimes just a small little cut, and then the terrain trap would be a place where the snow just keeps piling up on top of you. Wow, some of the snow is really deep right there. Train trap could be like a little gully on a hill. It could be a road cut like this. Like if the snow came down on top of you on a road cut, it could pile up. Now let's see if I can get through these alders without getting completely slapped. So I try to, with my avalanche education, more than anything, kind of seeing where the risks are. And I like about Snowbike too, you have less impact on the slope, and you can also be more methodical and stop and think. Like back there, it was starting to get steep, and I knew it was just steep enough to slide, and it was kind of that same situation where there was a terrain trap down in there. It wasn't the most pronounced one, but nevertheless it was a trap in that creek bottom. So all I did was turn out, stopped on the slope where it was safe. There was this little bit of a relief spot that I stopped at. I'm sure you'll see in the video. And I just rethinking it, I actually walked over and looked at my exit to make sure I wasn't hopping onto some slope blind. And I did get my handle out, avalanche handle, just in case, but made a turn in there in a safe spot, and then committed on there was a little bit of a convexity there, so I hopped on top of it. And there it was pretty mellow, wasn't steep enough to slide. Pretty much looking for a slope 30 degrees or more. You have to have that for snow to actually slide. So as long as you're below 30 degrees, everything's safe. So so I hopped on top of that convexity. Because one of the issues when there are convexities in the slope, or if there's just a bump on the slope, that's where some extra tension can be, and those are trigger points. And that could be either just a snow load, like a wind-blown snow load, or the convexity could just be on the actual ground surface causing it. But those are spots that are more apt, oh, a little birdie, more apt to break loose. So I try to avoid the center of a convexity, which I'm sure is difficult for a lot of snow bikers to do, because that looks like a jump, and it is a jump, but you could also be hitting a trigger point there. So I try to stick to the more uniform parts of the slope. But if the snowpack's pretty stable, then I don't worry about that. I'll go over the convexity. But anytime I don't know much about the snowpack, that's what I'm doing, is assessing stuff like that. And I'm pretty conservative person, so I take things a lot more methodical and slower and safer than some others, which is fine if you want to have a little less risk tolerance. That's good. You have probably a lot more fun than I do sometimes. But the other thing is using some slopes that are safe, that don't have a terrain trap, and doing some testing on those slopes. I'm actually about to come full circle here from where I took off. So if you can take like a road cut like that, I'm not going to do it today because there's an earth showing. You can take a road cut like that and test it. Now on snow machines, there's really no need to be digging pits, because a pit really only tells you that one spot, and you cover so much ground on a snow machine. You can have all kinds of spatial variability, and I don't really think it's useful to spend an hour digging a good pit and doing a stability test when you're hitting so many different slopes. So you're better off like kind of assessing the snowpack in any situation, maybe by doing a test in a simple spot, go up on a slope that has little consequence and try to get it to break loose. Look for other signs of instability, wind loading, fresh snow, all that kind of stuff. And a snow pit doesn't necessarily save your life. Just because you don't get a positive propagation result doesn't mean, oh, thanks a lot for the fire pit. Good thing I saw that in time. Someone had a fire there, and see, those are the kind of hazards that are actually more likely to get you than an avalanche. But I think overall, I think there's too much overemphasis on the avalanche part of things and not on some of the other things that can kill you, like a tree well, for example. That's way more dangerous. Alright, well, here we are. Back full circle. That's amazing how quick that is. And more enjoyable than the summertime for sure. Alright, looks like my friend didn't come up. I only see one snowbike track. Well, I might as well talk some more avalanche. Share some of what I've learned over the years. One problem with you know, the forecasting and stability testing and all that stuff. You know, they go out and do that assessment, and then the next day things can completely change up. And I know the good forecasters have a, you know, include weather in the forecast, but you never know what's going to happen. For example, last week there was a forecaster did a test, snow test, and was talking about a persistent weak layer, some buried surface hoar, something like that. And so I went up there and skied the next day right in that general area. He didn't say exactly where he's doing the testing, he's being all secretive, but I know that's where it happened because we almost skied right into the pit. Like, he didn't cover his pit, which is bad etiquette for sure, and actually dangerous. There are two pits. We almost skied into the pit, but there was a concern. There was a propagation test, but overnight there had been a lot of new snow, and it froze up, and it really bridged well. Like, you weren't breaking down to any persistent weak layer, and we like basically skied right below his pit with great success and confidence, and it went well. But it just shows the difference between one day and another. So you really have to be a thinker on the spot too. And I mean, it's nice to know that there was a layer down there, and before we were skiing it, I was testing whether or not you know, how much more down that layer was, and whether or not we could break through and actually activate that layer to form a slab. But we didn't actually budge anything. It was all went great, but wasn't too happy about the laziness and not filling in a pit right below a slope that people ski. Just as bad as that wheeler back there having their fire pit right in the middle of the trail, leaving a hole right there. Thanks a lot. Cabin down there, an old cabin, 150-year-old or something cabin, not much left of it. gobs of no trespassing signs. There didn't used to be so many no trespassing signs around here. I used to walk down there and look at that thing, but now it's like gobs of them. I should have invested in no trespassing signage several years ago, because stuff been selling like crazy. Especially COVID, it was a boon in sales